uh, calculator app on our machine. So for that, what I'm going to do is I'm going to generate a payload. So MSF Venom, and I want Windows execution and executionable, which has specified the bad characters. There's only the null byte, and I'm going to send it a form in C format because it makes it smaller. I could send a Python, but C is better because it's produce a payload that's smaller, and then command calc, and let's see. So what I'll have to do is once the payload comes in, I'm gonna uh, I'm gonna insert that over here. And in the meanwhile it's being generated, let's just open a new instance of Brainpan and make sure it's running. It is running. So now let's go over there. Now I hope this works because normally sometimes on some systems when I do try it, it does give it an error. It doesn't give an error, but sometimes it fails to execute. And it's going to be great if I can execute it right now. A little bit of noobness. I'm gonna add the bytes myself because in C you can't really specify which when that it should give it in bytes. Anyways, we have our payload, and again, it's always good to recheck because I've made a couple of errors, but I always double check my code before executing it, so it's all right. So let me save this. I have my padding, everything done. The machine is running. Now let's see if we can pop a calculator. And look at that. We just popped a calculator right here. So that means that we've been able to successfully exploit this machine and our code does work. So that's great. It's terminated because the reason it's terminated is because it migrated this process to a process over here. So now we know our machine works, so we no longer have to test it on our local Windows machine, right? So let's just close this, and I'm going to come towards exploiting the server that's on TryHackMe now. So I know this works, and in the next 4 minutes, I want to keep this video short. So in the next 4 minutes, we would have successfully, exploited it. So the couple things that we'll have to change before we can get to exploiting that machine is that we have to modify our payload a little bit. So again, the although it's running an executionable, but one thing we have to remember is they made this task a bit harder as it's actually a Linux machine which is using Wine to run Windows executables, and that they already specify that. So let's just create a reverse shell on port 443, and our L host is, sorry, this is going to be our tunnel IP that we're using to connect to TryHackMe. So while this is loading, let me go back to TryHackMe and let me just refresh this so you can see that that is actually the tunnel IP I have. It's right there. I'm just gonna shut down my Windows machine so that my computer can take it easier and we can have things running. So this is the IP address that machine is running. So we can simply come down to my Kali, and I'm gonna modify it a little bit right here. Gonna give that IP, and my payload is going to change. So let's just pick this payload up, and now we're gonna insert this new payload. Again, I use C because it makes sure that the payload size itself is small and doesn't really overpower the machine. So again, remember 443, I'm gonna come here, I'm gonna insert this code. So again, a noob tactic, but always ensures that we have everything running. So our payload is done, all the code looks good, and again, we only have one try, so we don't want to mess it up. So port is 443. I'm gonna open a netcat listener on port 443, and now if I execute this file, it should open us a shell on the TryHackMe server. And there you go, guys. You can see that we have successfully gotten produced a shell on that system. The first thing you want to do is you want to ensure that uh, the shell is stable. So, although I should remember this, but again, the good thing about programming is that if you have an internet connection, you can usually get all the codes quickly. So this is basically, it spawns the shell. Python 3 import putty. I promise you guys, I'm gonna learn this in the next video. You won't see me copy paste it, but there's no harm in that. So basically, it's gonna stabilize the shell. Now, if you can see, we got our home buck and everything. So now, if I we've enumerated it, we've gotten access. Now let's escalate our privileges. On this, we want to get root. So for that, the first thing you want to do is you want to do a sudo l to see if this user has any applications it can run without using as root. And you can see there's something here, root no password required to run this utility. Let's see what that is. Let's go to home and then see bin. And did I write something wrong? Home. Okay, because it's a utility, I'm just gonna run it directly. So it's home and see bin and see util, and it shows us a password, and we can just press enter and it should run. So apparently it's not letting us run that, which is weird, but let's see what we can do. We did ask it which one's allowed, and it said that we can run something over here. So why won't it let us run that? Let me see. Okay, so let me try without sudoing it. Okay, so we can see that we have something. We need a password for this. So let's see what this is. And it tells us that we can run bin bash and it's running it again and again on wine. That's fine. So let's just cd back. Let's see what else is there. Cd. Okay, guys. So I simply entered sudo home anansi bin anansi utility and the man page, and it did let me open it. I don't know, understand why it didn't let me do that first. So now that we're in, it basically, if we go to GTFO bins, you'll see that there's a vulnerability when simply we can write uh, man, and then we can simply because it allows us to run a command. on when if we select the manual option. Let me see if I can show it to you guys again. So if we just go to sudo home Nancy bin Nancy utility, it should let us run it without, here it is. So we were able to run that without using sudo without any password, and it shows us that we can run something using manual and command. So that just means that we can literally pass a bin bash command to it and it's going to run it as root. So if I go here, and you can always use GTFO bins, I suggest you always go once you want to once you've gained access and you want to escalate privileges, always use GTFO bins, and usually you do find something over there. So I'm just going to give it man, and it's going to ask me if I would like to increase my if I would like to uh, the sorry, if I would like to run a command on it. And it's actually Anansi utility manual man, and now it's asking if I would like to run anything, and I'm simply going to ask it to run a bin sh. And if you check it out, we are who am I, we're root, and now we own the machine. So guys, thank you for watching. I hope it was informative, and we used basically a buffer overflow for Windows, and we exploited the buffer overflow on the application Brainpan. It was the Linux server was running using Wine, and then we were able to not only gain access to it, we were able to increase our privileges, and we became root. So again, thanks for watching, and see you guys later.